Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward, and this is Face to Face. Our guest this week is Roland Vandal. Vandal has been an author, a boxer, an addict, and an inspirational speaker. Vandal, who is Métis, is the author of Off the Ropes, My Story, which came out in 2016. That tells the story of how he was sexually abused by a boxing coach as a teen and found solace in drugs and alcohol. Now Vandal is living a life he never thought was possible. From warrior to author, Vandal works on the front lines, helping those struggling with addictions. Roland, thanks so much for being with us this week on the show.
Hi.
Can you tell us a bit about your childhood experience and why you've taken to sharing it?
Well, I don't know. I learned early on, like, I'm gonna be 20 years sober on May 15th. That's my sobriety date, right?
Congrats.
And so I learned early on, after my inevitable bottom, almost 20 years ago, that I needed to start giving back and stop being so selfish and self-centered, and I needed to just start doing the opposite of what I was doing, right? Because what I was doing wasn't working. So. Yeah, it's really important to me to be of service and be of value, and that's what my kids see, right? So it's important that they see that.
How did some of the early traumas that you went through feed into your addictions later in life?
Well, so I've gotten lots of help for this stuff, right? And like, I've been very vocal and out there with my experiences, and like, it's whatever, it's translated into helping a lot of people and stuff, and right? But like, nowadays I'm trying to stay away from the specifics, because I found that, especially like I was sharing about it, like when I go to self-help and 12-step and all that kind of stuff, when I was sharing about it constantly, I was re-traumatizing myself every day. So I try to just generalize, and like, things happen the way they happen, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I was sexually and physically abused by 6 different people, and I'm past that now. It's all good. Those people have to live with that, not me, right? So I'm free and I'm clean from that, and I've done all the work. And but it was, like, yeah, and I, it wasn't my mom's fault, it wasn't my dad's fault, like, my dad was a good man, he was just an alcoholic, right, but he was a good man, and my mom, she tried her best, but I don't know, like, I just never went home because it wasn't very safe for me, right, so.
Many people completely misunderstand addiction and don't understand the roots of it. What is it going to take do you think, to change those thoughts, those mentalities?
I think just the awareness and what you guys are doing right now, what we're doing right now. And it's not like it's one day, boom, okay, everything's fixed now. I think it's just a process of sharing your story and telling your story and being open. Like, I'm at that point in my life, and I have been ever since. Like, I almost died a few times, right? Like, I was stabbed and a couple of overdoses and a suicide attempt, and I was really, really addicted to drugs, and like, I'm resigned to the fact that even today, as hard as it can be sober, because sometimes it's 10 times harder sober, right? That's why I drank, is because that made me feel better. So was it the problem or was it the solution? I don't know. But like, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I've been through so much, and I'm okay with my past, and I don't believe anybody will ever hurt me as much as I hurt myself. So, it is what it is, right? So, I can't go through life being dominated by what other people think of me. It's a waste of time and energy, right?
Mm-hmm. I think, when some people think of those with addictions, or, maybe on the streets or things like this, but, I mean, you were a successful business person.
Well, I wouldn't say successful, but I tried. Right. My heart was in the right place, but my life was completely unmanageable, and I couldn't find success, right? So I always felt like a failure. I went through life ever since I was a kid, all through my 20s, with the feelings of I'm no good, I'm all alone, I can't do anything right, what's the point anyhow, F the world, you know, like I went through life like that, and I found that, you know, I just wasn't happy. I felt like something was wrong with me, you know, and I still go through those waves, right? Like, it almost hurts inside, and that's what they say is the real explanation around alcoholism and addiction. It's feeling separated and disconnected and apart from this world, and everybody's happy and I'm not, and what's wrong with me? And then in my specific situation, I found that when I drank whiskey was my thing, right? When I drank whiskey, like, I'm not a very big guy, right? So I felt 6'8", I was tougher, I was stronger, I was bigger, and, you know, like, and when I drank whiskey, it made me feel like a whole person. It made me feel like I could talk better, I looked better, I could talk to the girls, and you know, and everything was wonderful, right? But you can't stay drunk forever, right? Like,
yeah.
And then I found, like, I didn't want to be a pass-out drunk like my dad. Again, with respect to my dad died. And anyways, with respect to my dad, I didn't want to be a pass-out drunk like my dad, right? So I found out early on that if I did cocaine, I could drink as much as I wanted, and if I did a line of cocaine, I'd be sober, boom. And so that helped me manage my drinking. And but all those things, like, I don't know if it was the problem or if it was the solution, right? But it obviously inevitably became the problem. But it got me through a lot of hard times, you know, like, where if I was sober and left with my untreated emotional and mental health, I don't know if I would have survived those times, right? So,
right.
I don't know. Everybody argues the facts and stuff, and I stay out of the arguments. I just have my experience, that's it.
What was the turning point for yourself?
Well, I was on May 14th. I had 3 bags of clothes left, and I had been hospitalized a couple times before that. But I had 3 bags of clothes left, and I was homeless. I was living in hotels and skipping bills, and my truck went, my house went, I lost my business. I had a hair salon and a tanning shop and a jewelry shop, and I was dealing drugs, and anyways, I lost everything, and I wound up on the street. And ironically, where I used to party and drink with all my friends, I was in the hotel room upstairs, and it was over, and I knew it. And I drank a bottle of methadone, and I went to sleep. I wrote a suicide note to my son Jesse, and I went to sleep. And on the morning of May 15th, 2002, I woke up, and it's like I was paralyzed, and so I laid there, and I'd gone to the bathroom in my pants and threw up everywhere, and ironically, that's what saved my life. And I sat there, and I thought about my dad. I felt like, see, I don't know what happens in the spiritual world or not, or what the deal is with that. I kind of just stay out of that argument stuff. But my own experience is I felt like I talked to my dad, and I promised my dad. I promised my dad that I was going to make a difference in this world, and I'm not going to die a drunk and a drug addict and alcoholic, and I'm going to get up, and I'm going to commit my life to helping people. And I got up and showered off, and I called my mom, and she picked me up, and I remember her voice. She was shrieking on the phone, and where are you? And like, anyway, so my mom picked me up, and I was dropped off at the Health Science Center, and I've been sober ever since.
Tough story, I'm sure, to tell, Roland. Appreciate that. You know, you went to the hospital. How did the start of your recovery look?
I remember I was in the hospital. I was really, really sick, and I remember I've tried to track down this nurse, because I've gone back and thanked everybody that helped me, right? And I tried to track down this nurse, but I remember, I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but, well, some say I am, but that's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I tried to track down this nurse because I remember waking up and I was hooked up to IV and I was malnourished and I was really, really sick, and I tried to shave give myself a haircut, and it was all patchy, and I was wearing army pants and a dirty muscle shirt, and anyway, so I tried to track down this nurse because I remember this nurse saying, "You're okay now. You're okay now. You're safe now." And I remember somebody patting my head, and she was patting my head, and I can't find the nurse, but anyways, I was so sick, so I was in there for a week, and I remember going down for a cigarette, and I went outside for a cigarette, and I remember something changed in me, right? Like, I felt like I had hope again, and like I felt like, and I phoned my ex-wife, who's one of my best friends, and she's happily remarried like 30 years, and I remember going outside, and the sky looked bluer, and like the air tasted good, and I felt happy for the first time in my life, you know, like that I could remember. I felt genuinely happy, and I had 4 bags of clothes, and I was finished. And so ironically, what was the end was actually the beginning, right? So that's the way I look at it. Like, you always got to spin it into a positive, right? So.
Well, Roland, we're going to talk more about the inspiration that you are and the help that you provide to others. We just got to step aside for a quick break here, and then we'll continue the conversation here on Face to Face with Roland Vandal. Stick around. Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is Roland Vandal, a boxer, author, inspirational, motivational speaker. And Roland, you wrote a book, Off the Ropes, My Story, and Breaking the Chains. Can you tell us a bit about that experience of going through writing a book?
Well, I was about half and half as an amateur boxer, okay? So, but what I didn't tell people was I was having major flashbacks when I was in the ring. Like, it wasn't fun for me, right? Like, but I love boxing, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a coach. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a good coach for the teenagers and stuff. And like, so I'm now a 3rd level NCCP coach, right? So went to school and took a bunch of courses and stuff. But I just retired with an 0-5 pro boxing record, and I didn't get one pro win at all. But anyway, so all that stuff translated into, well, if you want to have a match, we can have a match right here. I was going to say, we were just
joking. Somebody in here is going to give you your first win.
Yeah, I need a win. Any of the cameramen out there, you, whatever, let's do it up.
Well, we still got half a show to go here, so we'll see how it. But I guess, you know, how did writing the book help you reckon with some of your demons?
I guess it was pretty therapeutic, right? So.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like it's pretty hard to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, right? But after I just retired with a 0-5 pro boxing record, ironically, that turned out to be a story, right? So I don't know. I got asked to write a book, and if it was my writing, it wouldn't have been a very good book. So I just wrote short stories like of my life and my experience, and I turned them into the editor, who is Carleen Rummery, and she crafted the book just brilliantly. Like, she's really smart, and so it's nice little short chapters, 1-2 pages, like my personality, and anyway, so she formed the book, and it did really, really well. It's a nice, you could read the book chapter by chapter on the way to work. Like, it's. Right. You know, like it did well. So,
was that difficult writing this down, knowing that it was going to be shared with the world?
It was hard, yeah. But I've been in psych I'm not anymore, but I was in psych for probably 15 years. I went through DBT program. I got lots of help. I had a good doctor, and anyways, yeah. So. I had all the tools in place to be doing what I'm doing, and I still do to this day, right? So I'm okay with being vulnerable. Like, I struggle sometimes, whatever, not as much as I used to, but I'm okay with phoning up a friend, and that's what it's all about, is support services, right? Like not support services, but like, I have a really good network of people, you know, in my life, and some yeah, some guys, like, they're just been really good for me, right? So people who tell me straight.
Yeah.
Because I can be a piece of work, right? I'm not perfect, so.
Right. You know, aside from the book, you were also the focus of a documentary. You know, for such a private matter, why do you want to get your story out there?
My main thing is I want teenagers and young adults to know that they're not alone and it's okay not to be okay. And like, it's all good. And then, so they did, Jim Agapito was the editor, but CBC did it. And they did the national documentary, The Wounded Healer, the Roland Vandal story, and that's on CBC Gem. And that won awards. Like, me aside, they did a really, really good job on it. Like, it's a really good, well put together documentary, and it aired nationally a bunch of times. So,
can you tell us a bit about the advocacy work that you're now involved in?
Well, I'm president and chair of the Red Road Lodge, and that's a 47-bed homeless mission on the corner of Logan and Main, the old Occidental Hotel, and so I do a lot of stuff there, and we do a lot of stuff collectively there. It's not just me, and so, but I've been helping people in the trenches and on the firing line for 19 years, right? So, lots of, you know, I used to be sitting in the hospital with people all the time, and taking people to the hospital, and you know, now I have my own recovery home called Breaking the Chain Recovery Homes, and so yeah, like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you're on the front lines and you're in social services, and it's not just me. There's nothing special about me. There's lots of people doing it. Like, you know what I mean? It's all over the place. There's so many people helping out there, but it's hard. You got to have good people around you to support you too, right? So, doing this frontline work, do you think helped you with your recovery? Yeah, there's this one person, and they have, how do I say it? Like, I've met so many people that have changed my life. And they have it so bad, and like, they have it so off, but they're happy. And then, like, when I started, I spent a lot of time around homelessness, right? And like, for lack of better analogies, but you know, like the saying is, well, there go I. You know what I mean? Like, that was me. It may not be me now, but like, I have to be empathetic to the cause and what they're going through. And the biggest problem, especially in social services, is not necessarily people that haven't been there before, but even if you haven't been there before, it doesn't mean that you're the smartest person in the room. And the facts are, is if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably the loneliest person in the room, right? Because, you know, just because you don't understand what somebody's going through. I've sat with homeless people, and they have 2 degrees, you know what I mean? Like, right. Like, they're brilliant people, you know, but sometimes some things happen and you just give up, right? And so anyways, it's good to practice to talk to somebody where they're at, not where you think they should be at. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much value in listening to somebody else's story, right? So.
Well, I'm getting a lot of value out of hearing yours. Roland, more to talk about here. We just have to step aside for one more quick break, and then we'll continue the conversation here on Face to Face with Roland Vandal. Stick around. Welcome back to Face. Our guest this week is Roland Vandal, the comedian here. So, you know, Roland, pretty serious subject, so here, despite, you know, our joking off camera here, but, you know, many people don't make it out of their traumas. Wondering what advice you might have for those dealing with that.
All I can say is, like, you know, as hard as it is, like, and what so many people have to endure and go through, like, that pain of living, if that pain becomes greater than the fear of change, then you're in big trouble, right? So you can't let the emotional pain become greater than the fear of change, and it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And one thing, like, I went through DBT at the Health Science Center. The most simple thing is I went to my family doctor, I got a referral to Psych Health, and right away I tapped into some of the best mental health care in Canada, right in our own backyard. The Health Science Center is not famous, but they're synonymous with, if that's the right word, for mental health help, right? So if I can do it, anybody can do it. It really helped me. Like right now I'm nervous. They taught me to wiggle my toes in my boot. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm focusing on that while I'm talking to you.
You're full of great advice, I must say, that I plan to carry on with myself. As somebody, Roland, who's gone through, been a user of these services, I mean, this pandemic has been, we know, very difficult for a lot of people. We're seeing record high numbers of people overdosing. As somebody who's been a user of the services that are out there, what more needs to be done to help people out there?
I just think the human factor, like me and you are doing right now, or recovery coaching, and just sitting down and talking. Sometimes it's like in youth care. Sometimes you can help people, but just not trying to fix them, but by just being there, right? Like right now, after my book and all that kind of stuff that you're talking about, and they're writing the feature movie on my life story, and so Jordan Wheeler is a famous Aboriginal screenwriter, and he's writing the movie, and we're trying to talk about this topic, right? And I don't know how to write a movie, but he's writing the movie, and support services and being there for each other, like, is the best form of therapy you can do, right? And I think it's important, and people need, especially teenagers, they need to know that it's okay to talk about trauma, and it's okay to talk about all this stuff, right? Like, I don't know, like back in the day, being a man's man, you don't talk about your problems. Like, that's I don't know, that's a really bad message, right? So. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was unaware of the movie. I think you're probably in good hands there with Jordan.
Yeah, he's a good man. He's a really good guy.
Shout out to Jordan Wheeler. We're short on time here, but I was going to ask you what's next. Obviously, a film, but you know, what's
I have my
next
recovery homes and my recovery coaching practice. So I've started a new practice as a certified national recovery coach and all that kind of. And so, yeah, I'm gonna. Support services is what I want to do, and help people and fill the gaps, people getting out of care, people getting out of jail, that too. And then as for you, like, I just wanted to say, like, I know this isn't a radio show, but you have the perfect face for radio. You should be on radio.
That's all the time we have for this week. No, Roland, really appreciate it. Great work that you're doing, and really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us this week.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
That is all the time we have for this week, thankfully. Just kidding. But we will be back next week with more episodes here on Face to Face. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to Roland, and we'll see you back here next week.